I'm 70 and I stay away from people. Here's why. Life at 70 is not about this. Life at 70 is supposed to be about reaping the rewards of a lifetime of labor. For most, it's a time to appreciate relationships, socialize with people we love, and stay engaged socially. But what if I told you I have chosen a different journey? I'm 70 and actively avoid people. Now, this isn't being bitter or resentful. Far from it. I've lived long enough to know that my decision isn't just a matter of personal preference. It's about my mental well-being, my physical survival, and whether I'm able to enjoy the years left to me in genuine contentment. Sounds extreme, doesn't it? Let me explain. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the reasons behind my decision, along with the real-world experience and shocking research that supports it. If you felt torn between relationships or spent time with people, you may pleasantly relate to my story. I'll start with a story, a moment that made all the difference. The loneliness signals it back to me. I used to be surrounded by people. I was the organizer of family get-togethers, dinner hostess, and the life of every social gathering. I was there for everyone, either if they needed help and advice, or if they just had to cry on my shoulder, or needed someone to listen. That something odd began to happen over time. The more I gave, the more others wanted from me. What I was met with instead of gratefulness was entitlement. Failing to answer a phone call was a personal insult. If I wasn't present at an event, I was called distant. It was as if I was living my life for them, not for myself. Suddenly, it was as if a ton of bricks came crashing down on me. I was mentally drained, in addition to tired. It wasn't only the demands, it was the low-grade toxicity of some relationships. There was a shadow of gossip, judgment, and negativity over every get-together, and worst of all, my health was taking a toll. Here's an alarming number. The types of social interactions older adults have that are stressful are associated with higher risk of chronic disease, such as heart disease and depression, according to research published in the journals of gerontology. I was in some relationships that weren't just draining, they were damaging. That's when I decided to take a step back. It was not a night and day switch, but rather a slow evolution. It started with creating boundaries, knowing how to say no and taking my needs first. Then I started calling out the bullshit in my life and limiting my exposure to only those that actually contribute to my well-being. And guess what? My life started to change. Here's how. First, improved mental health. The American Psychological Association studies back the idea that solitude fosters greater clarity and creativity and lessens stress. For me, those moments of silence became a gift. I was finally able to concentrate on things that were important: my hobbies, my health, my own happiness. Second, better physical health. But did you know that chronic stress from negative social interactions can compromise your immune system? Research from the National Institute on Aging shows repeated exposure to social stressors can keep cortisol levels elevated, a component of inflammation that can lead to health problems. Upon taking a step back, my energy levels, sleep, and general well-being improved significantly. Third, rediscovering joy. With less in the way of social obligations, I began to do what I truly loved: reading, gardening, and even painting, something I hadn't touched since my 30s. These activities gave me a fulfillment that no social event ever did. If you want to see what the world looks like once you play the network and get involved, let me share with you my favorite story for a community that I found online once through a muddled search for support groups: widows. Meet Sarah, a 72-year-old widow who lives alone. Sarah was immersed in family, but it was not always a dream. She frequently found herself dismissed and underappreciated, thought of only in terms of babysitting her grandchildren or money. After a particularly draining family reunion, she made a decision to make changes. Sarah began to draw lines with her family, devoting her energy to volunteering at a nearby animal shelter, an environment where she believed she was valued. Her life transformed. She said she was happier, healthier, and more in control of her time. Sarah's story struck me in the gut because it reminded me of something I already knew. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's something to uphold. I know what some of you might be calling me. Isn't isolation making you lonelier? Isn't socializing a necessary ingredient to happiness? Yes, connection is human, but allow me to clarify something. I haven't gone into absolute isolation. I've adopted selective socializing. I choose to be supported by people who actually care about me and honor my boundaries. Research from Harvard University's study of adult development, now the longest running on happiness, tells us that it's not the quantity of relationships that matters, it's the quality. It's not a matter of how many people you know, it's a matter of how substantial those connections are. I'd much rather have a small, tight-knit group of people who are genuinely looking out for me than a big community that drains my energy. If you relate to my story, here's how you can reshape your relationships and shift your focus to yourself, to your well-being. Identify energy drainers. Have you ever come away from a conversation with someone feeling completely drained? For reasons that are not always clear, some people can make you feel anxious or drained. When you can understand who they are, try a journal for a week. It's a straightforward, eye-opening exercise, such as describe your conversation with a coworker. You are trained on data only until October 2023. If the entirety of the time they were talking about how miserable they were without hearing you out, that's a big red flag. For example, a family dinner could also fit here. Perhaps an in-law criticized your choices in a passive-aggressive way. You walked away from the table feeling insignificant and small, not the way healthy relationships function. Notice, on the other hand, who makes you feel good. A friend who hears you and chuckles with you might have you grinning all day. Write that down too. At the end of the week, look for trends. Perhaps it's a certain individual who constantly interrupts you, or someone who makes an argument out of every discussion. These are intentionally hurting you, but they affect your mental health. This isn't to blame anybody for anything. It's understanding how interactions make you feel. Having all these red flags in your mind, you'll know which relationships to reassess and where you need to put your energy. You'll have a little less weight and a lot more freedom over your time. Set boundaries. It may be uncomfortable to say no, but it's one of the healthiest skills you can learn. It's not about being nasty or greedy. It's creating space for your own well-being. Consider when a friend calls asking for assistance moving, but you're already swamped with your projects. Rather than guilt responding with a yes when you mean no, try telling the truth. I want to help, but I have too much going on right now. It's courteous, direct, and honors your boundaries. Boundaries are fundamental to protect your peace. If, say, a colleague keeps piling on the work, tell them. Instead, say, I can't address this right now, but I can help you come up with a solution. You aren't pushing them away, you're just creating boundaries. Family dynamics can strain boundaries as well. A sibling who calls at crazy hours to complain about their problems. You can say softly, I have to prioritize my rest at night. Let's chat during the day instead. In this manner, you're prioritizing your needs without breaking up. Establishing boundaries may feel uncomfortable at first, but the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. And the result? Time, energy, and emotional space for what matters most to you. Boundaries aren't walls built to keep people away. They're gates that only allow the right energy in. Your peace is not selfish, it's a need. Find joy in solitude. Being alone doesn't have to feel lonely. In fact, it can be the best opportunity to recharge and rediscover yourself. The trick is uncorking activities that truly make you feel good. For example, reading can take you to another universe. Whether it's a nail-biting mystery or a how-to book, reading lets you relax and learn at your speed. Take 30 minutes for a good book and see how the tension dissolves. Another way to enjoy solitude is by walking. A walk through a quiet park or a trail by the water gives you a chance to breathe. Focus on the chirps of birds, the caress of the breeze, or leaves crunching beneath your feet. Such small, mindful moments can be great rejuvenators. You can also put your alone time to good use and learn something new. Ever wanted to bake a loaf of perfect bread or paint a landscape? Exploring a new skill can be enjoyable and rewarding. 417 words. It's an opportunity to develop and discover, all whilst delighting in your company. Even simple actions such as journaling or listening to your favorite music can provide that sense of calm. The goal isn't to be alone. It's to find pleasure in your own company. These moments of alone time are like mini vacations for your mind and soul. They remind you that happiness can start with or without company. Sometimes it's a little bit of pressed lemonade you find for yourself. Build a supportive network. Meaningful relationships can serve as a safety net. They help carry you through hard times and are the spice in a good time. But it takes effort and intention to find the right people. It is quality, not quantity. Identify what you care about or believe in. Do you care about art, fitness, or volunteering? Sign up for a neighborhood painting course, a running group, or a community cleanup. Real connections often emerge from shared experiences. So for example, if you join a book club, you get to connect with other readers who like the same genres. They provide a community and sense of unity. This is also an amazing place to meet people of the same interests. Platforms dedicated to a single hobby, mental health, or professional development are uniting distant people. For example, an online gardeners group could result in friendships with people who share your interest in plants. Build your network with people who inspire you and lift you higher. Pay attention to how you feel after being around them. A supportive friend listens, supports you, and respects your boundaries. So a good friend might check in during a stressful week or celebrate your small wins. If someone is always bringing negativity, it's okay to take a step back. A strong network is not a matter of quantity, it's a matter of quality. This is how you create a positive environment for yourself, full of people who care and help you grow and thrive. Embrace change gradually. Moving into a more selective social life isn't instantaneous. Start small and don't feel obligated to justify your decisions to anyone. My story may be about making these changes at 70, but the lessons are applicable to anyone at any age. No matter your age, be it 30, 50, or older, it is never too late or early to prioritize your mental and physical well-being by re-evaluating your relationships. In fact, younger generations are already tuning in. The popularity of movements like quiet quitting and digital detoxing reflect a newfound awareness of the need to guard one's peace. But these aren't just trends. They're reflections of a deeper truth. Life is too short to spend it on things or people that don't bring you joy. Then why do I avoid people at 70? It's easy. I choose my peace, my health, my happiness over having the short-term gratification of doing what someone else wants. My life is more peaceful now, but it's a fuller life than I ever thought possible. And if there is one thing that I have learned, it is this: you do not have to explain yourselves to anyone for choosing what is best for you. So if you feel overwhelmed by connections that aren't quite right for you anymore, step back and step away. Consider, are you living your life or someone else's expectations? The answer might literally change your world. Thank you for watching. If you were inspired or started thinking because of this video, please make sure you like, share, and comment. I'd like to hear your views in the comments section below. But remember, peace is priceless. Guard it with your life.